Hello and welcome to the Ego Podcast. My name is Dina Jackson and I am your host. Today we have a wonderful return guest here in the studio at Eggplant Picture and Sound in downtown Toronto. She is a stand-up comedian. She is a writer. She's a lovely person, lovely soul. You can see her perform at every major comedy festival. You can see her on TV. You can find her on Twitter being funny. She's lovely. Put your hands together for Courtney Gilmour.
Yay, thank
Hello.
you. Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for having me back. I'm so excited to come back. Yeah.
I'm excited for you to be here. We just had a wonderful transformational weekend.
We did. Yes, we just got back.
Yeah. So we were in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was myself and Courtney and another lovely comedian, Jhanelle Dennis. Jhanelle lives in New York and we're recording in Toronto, so she's going to be calling in. It's going to be our first.
It's going to be so cool. Yeah, the three of us.
Like having a caller.
A call in. That's very professional.
I
As
feel
a
like it
podcast,
is.
when you get to have a caller in. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it is a very professional way.
Yes.
Thank you for noticing that.
You're making strides. You're milestones. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to have you on, Courtney, because we were talking about this. So for anyone who's interested in catching up a little bit more on Courtney's bio, you can listen to the second episode ever of the Ego Podcast, where we go into more detail about your path with comedy, but then also coming into meditation and practicing that in your own way. Yeah. And that's something that really connected you and I would say.
Yeah, it did. And I feel like that podcast this is a good coming around full circle to when I feel like so much has happened between that podcast episode and this one.
Totally.
Even between the two of us and also just individually where we were. I feel like we're going to get into stuff that both of us were sort of lightly treading around in the first one. Which is good.
I completely
cool.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I love that you highlighted that right away because
it just came to mind when I'm thinking about that podcast episode because it was a very good one too. But I think we were both I was still big into what I'm into now, but less inclined to speak very directly and overtly about it.
Yeah.
And I think now like so much has happened that this has been a good opportunity to like actually do it in that way.
I love that. I love that you can think of it that way because it's been about a year. It's been about a year since we did the last one.
Okay. Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah. So you're
That's
right.
Really cool.
It is full circle. And I think what you're saying, just to articulate it a little bit more to the audience, is that there's a little bit of fear around talking about things like spirituality and meditation and self-care. You know, there's a lot of ambiguity there because we worry about offending people or giving people the wrong impression. But one thing that I can say, coming from that episode, which was one of the first ones we ever did, till now, I certainly felt that way before. I felt very apprehensive and was nervous to even put this together, this entire podcast.
Yeah.
And now, having met so many amazing people, yourself included, and seeing people talk about it and also voice the fact that they do feel apprehensive because there's a lot of stigma. People are comfortable talking about mental health now in some ways, but there's still a lot of stigma around that. So it's cool that we're doing this.
Plus it's been a full year. You have listeners who listen to this podcast and know what it is and have a grasp of what your content is. So I think that's probably, this is not the place to be. We don't have to like dance around as if we're talking to people who are listening to, something else.
Totally.
They
the listeners know what they're getting.
Yeah.
If you're here and you don't know what's up, then you might learn something, but if it ain't for you, it ain't for you, and that's okay. I think learning that is a good process for me too, and for anyone being on it. It's like it doesn't have to be for everyone, but if you connect with some people and they really get it, then there's some real validity to that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's stop dancing around it then.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so we went to Chicago. It was Courtney's birthday.
Yes.
And we did some comedy-oriented stuff, but we mainly went there to see one of our favorite authors speak. And and her name is Esther Hicks.
Esther's
the best.
Esther Hicks, yep.
Courtney and Jhanelle were the ones who introduced her books to me originally, and she's well known for writing on the law of attraction.
Yeah. And
so she has a ton of other books in affiliation to that. That's sort of the first one that she wrote with her husband, Jerry Hicks. And I'll just explain as best I can. She embodies an energy known as Abraham that will speak on the behalf of questions that you might have about manifesting.
Yeah.
So how would you explain? That's a lot. So
yeah,
we talked about this before. We were like, how are we going to talk about this in a way that, makes sense? We're doing our best.
Yeah, we're doing our best. We're going to go all in.
Yeah.
We might as well. Yeah, I mean, it's an unconventional idea, but at the same time, and I was looking up I read about it all the time, how Esther Hicks describes Abraham to other people, and yeah, it might seem a bit complex, and maybe it is, and might seem a little kooky to some people who are outside of this territory of like spiritualism and stuff, but it's also very simple though. I don't think she wants it to be, like I'm channeling this crazy alien energy and I become a different. I think it's just, she describes it as tuning into infinite intelligence, accessing a point of clarity that everyone has the ability to access, but she has had an experience that allowed her to access it in a more direct, clear, consistent way for a longer amount of time. She's a person who says that she never grew up with any kind of background in spirituality or anything. So she tunes into like a state of mind, like a meditative state of mind, so clear that she can articulate information about well-being, about happiness, about connection, about being who you really are, about joy, about law of attraction, in a way that she's able to sustain it for a longer amount of time. And she can share that with people, and I think that's about as like complicated and as basic as she describes it to be. And it's not like this, like, I think people maybe think of it as like rolling around speaking in tongues type of thing, and it's very much not like that. It's just sort of like tuning into something a bit higher, like when you meditate.
That's right.
That's how I think of it anyways.
I like thinking of it that way, because I think if anyone who's listening to this who practices meditation, times where you feel like you're connecting a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's like when you meditate, like let's say you meditate for 15 to 20 minutes a day, which I recommend. That's been very beneficial to me. And you get into that meditative state for that slot of time. It's almost just like giving that a name for yourself, giving that another name, and being like, oh, this is Courtney in this state.
Right. She's
just clearer. She's still me. It's not something that no one else can have. It's just, this is the clear state of mind I'm in. I'm able to think clearer, and she's given it a name, which is Abraham. And
that works for her. That's like a way of her articulating it to her audience. And what I find so fascinating is that she's been doing this for 30 years, travels all over doing it, has quite the following in the spiritual community, and doesn't do a lot to over promote herself, continues writing these books, continues giving talks, knows who is interested in hearing this type of thing, and people come from far and wide to hear her speak, us included. We went from Toronto to Chicago, and Jhanelle went from New York to Chicago, and it was a wonderful experience. It was Courtney's birthday, as I said, so it was a cool way to celebrate that.
It was amazing. It was so cool.
I'm still beaming from it.
I know. We were like, we'll give it a couple days, then do the podcast and regroup and everything and reconvene. I still feel like I'm just still reeling from it.
I feel like that too, and it's so cool. So maybe we can give some examples of that. So maybe going back to what is manifesting? What would you say? Because that's a big thing in relation to the law of attraction. If you're new to this, if you want to look it up, it talks a lot about manifesting. So how would you?
So I mean, like the simple way, I guess the simple gist, like law of attraction is every thought turns into a thing. Every thought is an energy that turns into a vibrational match to something. So the way I think of manifesting is it's it's just the outcome of your thoughts. What you perceive to be good or bad, negative or positive, that's the manifestation. It's either, it can be the thought that you have, the feeling that comes from the thought, or it could be the brand new car that you want, I guess, or a relationship, a circumstance. Anything that comes from your thought, from your point of focus, what you see visibly is the manifestation.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. And some way that you might be able to notice it in your own life is, let's say you have a day where you're like, oh man, nothing is going my way. Like I woke up and, something fell on my head the moment I got up, and then I missed my alarm, and the cat knocked water on the ground or whatever. And then I was late for work, and then I got every red light on the way there. And then people were really mad at me. And so as a result, it was just one thing kept coming after another, because you're manifesting that, right? You're assuming the worst, so then the worst is what's delivered to you, right? But then on the counter to that, you could wake up and be like, oh my goodness, zest for today. I'm so pumped up. I'm leaping out of bed. I'm so excited for what's coming. I'm just really enjoying the moment. And then more and more great things come into your life. And we've all had days like that, whether you look at it like that or not. And so it's becoming more aware of what your role is in that and what you're doing.
Yeah, because law of attraction states that that which is likened to itself is drawn. So most people are manifesting or creating their reality by default. Like it's always, law of attraction is always working for or against you. That once you realize you can actually make it work for you, where you can actually choose your thoughts and choose your reality, then it becomes really cool. But for the most part, people are just kind of going on about their day, feeling high, feeling low. All of that is manifesting, all of it. Like every little thing is a product of your thoughts.
And it's cool to realize that when you actually come to that realization that everything is being manifested. Everything carries energy, and so as a result, that's what you're attracting things to you that you are like. So if we like to think of it as a magnet, you attract things that's like you. And so as long as you're in a good mind state and you're thinking good thoughts, then as a result you're feeling good, positive energy, then all of a sudden you're like this wonderful attractive magnet. That's the best way. I don't know.
I think the biggest thing that, because I was very much against all of this stuff for years and years, it didn't make any sense to me, because I guess, and I think this is most people's experience with it, is that, so I can be a millionaire in a day, or I can get the car. I even mentioned the brand new car, like that was the first thing, because that's what people associate this with. But it's more like, once I realized that it's more about the feeling, it is the thoughts too, but it's your emotion. Like you have an emotional guidance system, and everything that you feel is what's determining how your day is going to go. It's what's determining what you're allowing into your life. And so we were talking about how a lot of people think, so I just pretend, I just act, fake it till you make it. Like I just pretend that things are going well when they're not, and then that's going to get me something that I want. And that sounds so depressing and not appealing at all. So I completely understand how people would be like, well, I have depression, I'm miserable. You're just saying that a positive thought is going to change that? No, absolutely not. Because your positive thought is going to be too much of a leap from where you are, and that's not going to feel real to you. And if it doesn't feel real to you, it's just words.
Exactly.
And words are not anything unless the feeling behind them. You're more likely to create a negative manifestation from a positive thought if you don't feel positive about it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, I'm real happy.
feel really good right now.
Okay, I have a car in the driveway. Okay, yeah, I feel really good. Oh, that's why I feel, I tell people when they want to do positive affirmations, I tell people be careful, because, not be careful, but choose them wisely. Choose things that, if you want to say things to yourself to make yourself feel good and pump yourself up, say things that feel real, even if it's very basic things. And most of the time that just comes with appreciation. Appreciation is like the best path to feeling good. So if you start there, waking up every day thinking of things that you actually genuinely appreciate, even if it's just like how good your bed feels in that moment, how your cat comes to lie on your chest, stuff like that, and build from there. Those are affirmations. Saying things to yourself in the mirror like, I am an abundant person, I am a positive person. If you're not feeling that, you're just flapping your lips. You're not doing anything, and then you're going to get so frustrated with this whole idea, and it's not going to make any sense to you. It really is the feeling.
It'll make no sense, and then you'll get frustrated. And I completely agree with that. And so it's like you were saying, finding a feeling that makes sense to you. So if you're feeling depressed, then you saying, I'm a millionaire, and just continue saying that when you're not, you know, maybe you're depressed about money, or that's a contributing factor. By doing that, you're just going to frustrate yourself. Whereas if your cat comes and lies on your chest, clearly Courtney and I both have cats, so that's why
we're really dropping some cat
a lot of cat name dropping. But, you know, having your cat come and sit on your chest can feel really nice. And that can be something that will make you feel nice. Like, oh, I love my cat. You know, that's a real thing, the real thing that you feel. So it's finding something in relation to where you're at.
Yeah. And I wonder if your listeners I'm sure we can all relate to having a problem and wanting the solution, but feeling really overwhelmed with negativity about it, feeling hopeless about it, feeling depressed, and then trying to tackle it from that mindset only makes it worse, or only creates more thoughts of like, oh, what if this goes wrong too, or what worst case scenario of this problem. A perfect example of helping law of attraction to work for you is to get off that subject and activate a whole new subject that's completely unrelated. Like money is a big one for people who are broke and don't have enough money to get through the week, or they're worried about making rent. It seems so contrary to what you feel is natural, but to go out and try and feel good about something completely different, and then coming back to that, you have such clarity. You have like, oh, okay, I think I feel a little bit more hopeful about this.
I love that. There's a thing, it was Gabrielle Bernstein, who I love a lot. I love all of her work. I think she's wonderful. She talks a lot about laws of attraction, and she said, you know, it's really important that if you're feeling bummed out, you know, finding anything to change how you're feeling. So let's say you're really in the dumps, there's tons of things not going your way, you feel down about money, you feel down about whatever, your appearance, your career, whatever it is. She's like, just think about what you're going to have for lunch that day. You know, like something really simple, but it can make a major adjustment. Even if it's a small adjustment, it's major because it shifts you in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah, you're not trying to change the condition. You're not trying to change the thing right at that moment. You're trying to change you. You're trying to change yourself, because that's the only thing you have control over. That is so liberating too. You are the only person the only thing that you have control over. So if there's a situation that feels so out of control, the only thing you can do for yourself is change how you feel, and realizing that if you can feel just a little bit better, not perfect, not even amazing, just a little bit better incrementally, you're getting yourself to a place of being able to find the solution a lot quicker. That's like Esther Hicks does have a really good analogy of you have 5 important topics going on in your life, like love, career, finances, or whatever, 5 subjects in your life, and 4 of them are going really well, but there's one big one that's just like tripping you up. You're like, oh, I really can't get a grasp on this. Like, let's say it's love. Like, I can't find a person. I'm lonely. I haven't dated in a couple years. Like, what's wrong with me? But if you spend your time really investing in those 4 other things that are going amazingly and really feel good about those, that starts to trickle into the 5th thing. That starts making you feel better about that, feel more hopeful about that, and then pretty soon you're able to get yourself into a good headspace, and then you start seeing things change there.
And once you can get into that feeling, like you said, right away, it's like when people say looking at something, the glass is half empty, the glass is half full. Like when you start seeing the positive, all of a sudden the glass starts to fill up more and more, you know. Actually, Jhanelle has a wonderful analogy she showed us about this 2-cup method. We should call her.
Yeah, the 2 cups.
We're gonna call her. Okay, I think we're gonna try it live from New York. It's Jhanelle Dennis.
It's Jhanelle Dennis.
I'm gonna try plugging this in so that everyone could hear it. Let's give it a go. technology goes my way. Oh, it's FaceTime audio. That's not right. Let's try again. I'm like everyone's mother or aunt or grandmother right now. I can't get you. Can you hear me? Hello? Let's see. It's on speaker. I don't know. No speaker? Okay. Can hear. Should I put the earphones on?
Is she there?
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah, it's all good. Is there a way we can hear it?
Turn it up. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Better.
There we go. Got it. That was pretty painless getting that set up. How are you?
Wow. I'm doing pretty well. I'm not sure. I just messaged you. I'm not sure if it went through, but I had another insane manifestation that literally just happened right now.
Tell us. You're live from
timing.
New York. It's Jhanelle Dennis. And shout out to Russ, our lovely technician, who's fixing this so that everyone can hear you. When I say everyone, like this is being recorded. It's not the radio. But either way, so just for everyone listening, Jhanelle is, like I said, lovely comedian and good friend of ours. And so we were all in Chicago together this weekend attending this event. And so we've all been feeling great since it happened, and now Jhanelle is sharing things that she's manifested. So let her rip, Jhanelle.
It's insane. Should I talk about the one that just happened right now?
Yeah.
Talk about whatever you like.
Yeah,
but you
seem
pumped
pretty amped up
that.
about this, so yeah.
Yeah, because this one's fresh.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Go for it. A fresh one.
So right around, because, oh my God, now I'm thinking how crazy this is. Okay, so just for a little bit of context, we were originally supposed to talk just a little bit earlier than this, and I ended up getting so I do some coaching in New York. So I ended up getting a call from someone to review their resume and talk about their professional pitch and all that. You know, I work in career services. So I'm like, okay, I'll take this call, which is perfect because we were supposed to speak earlier. So I'm like, okay, it's perfect. I can talk to the person. So I'm coaching her. I'm talking to her. It sounds like she pretty much has everything set. And I'm looking at her resume, and she's actually in the same field that I am in. But her career path is something that I would model mine after. So I'm like, I can't believe I'm coaching this person who is someone that I would expect to be coaching me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, so I'm trying to, give her the best that I can. And a lot of it was kind of just validating her and saying, you got this. If you want to, you seem pretty overwhelmed right now. So let's just focus on these. And, they're going to be impressed with you. You have this, this, and this, and this. So then at the end of the call, she's like, you've been so great. I'm actually friends with your bosses. She's like, you've been so great. They're great to work with. And so you said you're in the program as well. I'm like, yeah, I'm in the program that you graduated from. She's like, well, are you looking for a job or an internship? I can help you. I'm like, what?
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I told you guys around last week that I was kind of one of the things that I've been worrying about or stressing about is, finding internships and jobs, and especially coming up. Mm-hmm. And so it just after that seminar that we went to, I said, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. If I don't get one, it'll be fine. I'll be fine either way. The universe already obviously knows that I want this, especially like physically knows because of all the applications I've sent out. Mm-hmm. So
send out piles of applications to the universe, and I put direct message memo, attention universe. Can you get this?
Yeah, we knew the universe had its own applicant tracking system. It's crazy. So right now I'm sitting in front of a pad of paper which has her contact. She's like, take down my name, email, we'll connect. She's like, I know 2 people from she worked for like a really amazing company in the field. She's like, I know 2 people and I'll connect you with them, and we'll see if we can get you on board with them.
Wow. That's so cool.
It's amazing.
That's amazing, Jhanelle. You manifested that because you changed, you worked hard to change your negative thoughts and emotions, you know, based on fear. Like, okay, because so to anyone listening, we were chatting with Jhanelle about career stuff on the weekend. And one thing that you shared was that, you know, you were going through a transition because your job ends at the end of the month or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this timing couldn't be more perfect.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy that it happened right before talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And the call was delayed
perfect.
because we were supposed to call you 10 minutes earlier. And then, but as a result, you spoke to her and we didn't even realize. We're like, oh, we got to call Jhanelle.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's a great example.
Yeah, I think all three of us together, we make stuff happen.
Yeah. We
it is very cool that we have noticed that the three of us, because we're also very keen on this stuff, and we notice, you know, little things here and there all the time, that when the three of us are together, we always like seem to we're like
yeah, so pretty much we're a coven.
Yeah, we're we're coven. Yeah, a manifestation coven. It's funny because Ariana Grande put together a song. Jhanelle was highlighting this about how she manifested her boyfriend Pete Davidson, who's a real cutie from SNL, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And you guys sent me a message. You sent a message to Jhanelle sent it to Courtney and I, saying that she made a song up about Pete Davidson, and she said that she manifested him into her life. And as I was reading that message where you sent the song, one of her other songs came on the radio in the store I was in, like, instantly, and I was like, everywhere I look, it's Ariana or Ariana Grande.
Get out of my mind.
Yeah, but it was cool, like that. And those are, I mean, you can say that these are coincidences, you can say that they're little idiosyncrasies, whatever it is you want, or you can trust the fact that you are in fact manifesting these things into your life, and that's an idea that we all support. So
yeah, I love that you said that about coincidences. Yeah, they could be coincidences, but isn't it so amazing that coincidences for every single thing that you want are happening?
I also like that we're cackling like a coven.
I know. Yeah, we're really much invoking the craft here, all three of us. Yeah, that's very true. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, it's where your point of focus is. You're going to notice maybe these things are happening anyways, but if you're noticing them and they are aligning with what you want, like, why not let yourself indulge that thought and be like, things are working out for me, you know?
Yeah, of course they are. And I think, like, the reason we decided to record this podcast is because we went somewhere in a space where a lot of people support this idea, and so we felt very empowered knowing that it's not just the three of us, that there are more people who are keen, and I'm very confident in that with listeners to this podcast. And, you know, as a result, like, the hope is by having these conversations, you realize, oh, I can make these positive shifts in my life, but it does take the work. You have to do the work. And when I say that, it means working on understanding your feelings and understanding your thoughts, and, you know, practicing, like Courtney said, through affirmations or whatever it is, but practicing feeling good. What gets you to that point?
Yeah, people really want to, and we've been talking about this all weekend, how actually simple it is, but we tend to over intellectualize. And it's good to have these practices, like people do, you know, scripting and manifestation experiments. Maybe we can talk about that later, but the stones, like, it's good to have that stuff because it helps you focus. And we need like analogies and stories of other people having stuff like that work out. It's good, but it's also so simple in that there are people who don't know anything about the law of attraction as a philosophy, who just feel good and are fun and lighthearted and playful every day of their lives, and amazing things are happening. And you're seeing those people, you're like, how come they get that life, you know? And they may have no idea about any of this. They're just living well. They're having a good time. They're chilling out about it.
Naturally relaxed.
Exactly, they're relaxing into it.
Yeah, and also the concept, and this is one thing that Esther covers, is that children are very much in that state. They don't necessarily know, right? And not all of them, but many, to generalize. It's because they're feeling good and they're just doing what feels good. Like, I want to go out and
they're
play.
not worried about the bills. They're not worried about...
And they're not worried about... They're not letting fear seep in. It's once fear starts to seep in, or self-doubt, or whatever it is you want to call, like, that's what... Or resistance, whatever it is, however you want to phrase it, the reality is that we all have the ability to do this, and that's what I love is that that there's an influx of money and opportunities and love and greatness in the world, and if you choose to align yourself with that and connect with that, then it's right there for you. But you have to believe that it does, and you have to bring yourself into a place where you feel good.
Yeah. Also, Denzel Washington
really
is doing it. So.
Denzel Washington's doing it, so there you go. Pardon? What did you say, Jhanelle?
Yeah, Denzel Washington definitely.
If Denzel's doing it in Ariana, then
Will Smith,
Jim Carrey, of course.
If it works for Denzel.
Yeah.
If it works for Denzel, then we're all signing. We're all signed on the dotted line. Yeah.
I want to be cast in Training Day, the musical. I think it'll happen.
The musical. Well, first of all, you're going to manifest the musical into existing, and then you're going to be the lead role with Denzel at your side. Great. You know what? Get that going. Jhanelle. Very cool.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I really do think it is about the focus of it, because one thing that I really learned this weekend too was, and just like you were saying before, Courtney, how simple it is, how easy. Because I was, when you start listening to a lot of these videos and podcasts, there's a lot of people that are into the whole journaling, the goals every day, writing things down every day, which I was doing, but also I feel like deep down, I'm not really a journaling type of person. So, that I'd even get stressed out with that. Like, okay, now I have to get up and think about these goals and write them down, and this is annoying. So I wasn't even realizing that I had that kind of negative outlook just in being like, now I have to write this stuff down. Like, that's annoying. I didn't know that I was bringing that into it, and maybe that's why some of that stuff didn't work. But then after this weekend, it's really just focusing on the good things Esther says for at least 17 seconds. Yeah. And I really do think that's what really helps, because I haven't been writing anything down, and literally since seeing you guys, every tiny little thing has come up, but it's always been after I've thought about it for a little bit, let it go, and then immediately just started thinking about the other stuff that's happening well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can I tell you guys an example or what happened after you guys left?
Yeah.
Yeah, so after you guys left and I was checking out the Airbnb, I was waiting outside, and I'm like, I want to see the city, because it was my first time in Chicago. I'm like, I want to see the city, but I want to see as many things as I can in as short a time frame, because I was taking the Greyhound back, and I only had a couple hours. So I'm like, So then I'm like, you know what? Let's just do the bus tour, because, I always feel like a dork on those kind of things. So I'm like, you know what?
I love that you went on the bus tour.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I went on the bus tour, and it was amazing. So it was kind of one of those things where I couldn't help but be focused on all the positive aspects of it. Like, every second, it's like, look to your left, here's something great. Look to your right, isn't this amazing? Look to your left. So it was a sunny day. I was at the top. I got the front seat. I'm like, every couple seconds, I'm like, this is so cool. This is so cool. This is beautiful. I can't believe, it's my first time in the city, and it's so amazing. I love it so much. So for the whole 2 hours, I was kind of in that mindset. And then so in my head, I was thinking, like, you know what? Like, I could really use some kind of like sparkling beverage, some kind of soda or something. I was a little bit thirsty, and all I had was like 3 bottles of water. But I'm like, you know what? I'm happy for these 3 bottles of water, because at least I have this. Then right before I got off, right before my stop, I see the tour guide who gets off, and then he goes in front of us, picks up a huge crate from a van, and then comes back inside and says, who wants a gift? We have free raspberry sparkling water.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
I'm like, are you serious? So I have it. He's like, here you go. It's cold, perfect, exactly what I've been wanting.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
And I'm just like smiling to myself. Everyone's probably like, wow, has this girl never had sparkling water?
She's never been on a bus tour before, and she's never been on a bus, and she's never had sparkling water. Jhanelle, we're gonna just disconnect with you shortly, just because we've only got a few minutes left on the podcast. But thank you so much for calling in. I'm glad this worked out, and I'm glad we were late.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were late connecting with you so that you could get another job. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It was the perfect timing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. I have some more stuff to message you about. So, you know.
More manifestations to share.
Sorry, listeners. You're going to have to get
Okay.
in on the crew if you want the inner scoop.
Okay. Bye, Jhanelle. Bye.
Hey, bye, guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
And the other really cool thing is that once you start doing this, or you just intentionally manifesting, because like we said, it happens either way, you'll start attracting people into your life who feel this way too. And I think that's what's, you know, what Jhanelle and Courtney and I really love is that we can talk about it, but we want to share it with everybody. And the moment that you start doing it, you will notice, and all of a sudden you'll attract these amazing people in your life who get what you're saying, get what you're going through, and want to talk to you about it. Like, there's so many layers to this. Obviously, we're not going to cover it all in this hour, but I think it's important to understand that it's meant to be a good thing. It's something that we're all capable of doing. It's not a question of why does this person have this and I don't, or whatever it is. It's not about that. It's about we all have access to everything we could ever dream of. And I know sometimes that can be really hard to grasp at first, but that's the truth. And by doing this, you start to realize, and it may start with smaller things like, you know, like Jhanelle was saying, she had a restaurant bag. She was keeping bottles of water in like a baby, you know, like she needed a new bag, you know, that's very simple. But as a result, like she got that bag.
Did you hear how excited she was to say all of that stuff? These are all very simple things. And some of them happen to us all the time and we don't take the time to think about how cool they are. Yeah. But noticing how cool they are led to more of the coolness, which is, I think, is just the coolest. It's just the best thing. And you deserve to have a fun, joyful life. That's one of the biggest takeaways that I've had in becoming like a conscious, what I call a conscious creator in the past couple of years, is like, you deserve to allow this stuff to happen into your life. And
that it's that you deserve it, and everyone deserves it, and that everyone is happy for you in those moments. You know, like Courtney, you've had such a fantastic year with your career, with comedy, and you know, you're just like this glowing ball of energy, and people are so excited to be around you, you know, and they bask in your success too, because you are very giving and you bring forth a positive message. And I think that that's so important, you know? Yeah.
And thank you. And I really think a lot of people ask me this question. I hope some of those people are listening to this, because a lot of people ask me how I live the way I do. How do I have so much abundance in my life? How do I feel positive most of the time? How do all these like cool, amazing career opportunities snowball one after the other? And I'm like, this is what it is. I'm making it. I'm doing it. I'm making it happen. We all it's not that I'm more deserving than anyone else, and it's not luck, and it's not I'm pious and I've been living according to a certain God's way of living. It's I'm choosing to live positively, and I'm choosing to have these things happen in my life. And once I realized that I can allow and make this stuff happen, it just completely changed everything for me. So, yeah.
And I think it's so cool that you're very open about sharing that. You don't hoard it to yourself. You don't say, this is just for me.
It's beneficial to the whole when everyone realizes this, and it's not, it's not my life's purpose. Like, I'm talking about it here because it's something that excites me, and I know it's something that excites you, and I love engaging with other people, but it's not important to me to convert anyone. It's not important to me that anyone ever understands this beyond whatever. It's just, if you want to know how to have like this kind of like, it's just amazing. And if you want to know how I did it, this is how I did it. This is what I believe in, and this has worked for me like tenfold.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah. So what would you say, because we have to go shortly, what would you say some of your biggest takeaways were from our time in Chicago and just the whole law of attraction process, if you can think, or one or two?
Yeah. Biggest takeaway. I mean, I would say that it was a very life-changing experience. I've been following Esther for a long time, and it was really cool to be in the same room as her, and experience those teachings. I think my biggest takeaway is that I can live my life feeling good and joyful, and as long as I'm finding things to appreciate and looking for things to feel good about, I have literally everything that I need, and everything that I want just finds its way into my life. I don't have to work for it. I don't struggle. When I struggle, that's when I'm disallowing it.
Right.
And as soon as I like give up the struggle, you can never give up your desire. I think people hear that and they're like, oh, so I have to give up what I want. No, like you never can. You always are going to want what you want. But if you give up the struggle of pushing against it and allowing yourself to just have fun in life and play and feel good and find things to appreciate, so much stuff happens. So many doors open up for you, and it's just it's the best way to live. And it would be very difficult for me to see a future that involves me regressing and going back from that, because it's too cool.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
I think
of course.
people will really benefit from hearing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. We are out of time. So Courtney, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Where can people find you if they want to follow you? Courtney is so hilarious on Twitter as in real life, and then Instagram as well, and all that fun social stuff.
Yeah. Thanks. You can find me at CourtneyGilmour.com. I have all my show dates and stuff like that. And Twitter is at Court Gilmour. Gilmour is Gilmour. And Courtney J Gilmour on Instagram. Just look me up. Google Courtney Gilmour and you'll find me. I'm there.
Awesome. Cool. And I'll just say, I've mentioned this already, but I think it's very wonderful when you can speak on, your own success with this kind of process, and then being able to share it with other people and saying that I want you to succeed. I want everyone to succeed, and that that we can all do that. But just looking inside and finding out what your definition of success is. How does that make you feel? And again, looking back into these books, so anything by Esther Hicks, we're big supporters of her. The Law of Attraction, The Vortex, Ask and It Is Given. These are all different books that you can look up by Esther Hicks, and you can look up abrahamhicks.com. That's where you can find all of her information. So yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank
everyone.
You.